Mr. Touart, please, and then Ms. Rogers is asking to speak.
Commissioners,
No.
Your light's flashing. Madam, I didn't make your thing beat. You must have made it. Oh, the attorney doesn't want to speak. What a concept.
well,
All right, Mr. Touart, please.
I do want to speak. Commissioners, I was very fortunate. I let the news media affect my decision several years ago about leaving this position. I was not fired. I was not terminated. Commissioner Robertson actually supported me in that effort, and so did you. But the pressure of the news media, even though I'd done nothing wrong, I left this position on my own, and I was not forced out of the position. That's a decision I have regretted for a long time. I was given an opportunity through the grace of God to come back and serve this county, which I love very, very dearly. And I want to say this. I have heard about, first of all, nobody ever asked me, would I not apply for this job? That was never part of any negotiations. Second of all, I did not apply for this job the first time it was advertised. I did not apply for this job the second time it was advertised. I did not apply for this job the third time it was advertised until an hour or 2 hours or whatever it was before the last day. And I had received a lot of support from this community. Some of my supporters are sitting right there in this library situation, I'll be honest with you. And I chose to apply for this job because I looked at the list of applicants and I said, none of them have been a county administrator 20 years. None of them were born and raised in Escambia County. None of them had the insight of the past 15 or 20 years that I have in Escambia County. None of them care more than I do about this county, nor did I understand all the controversial issues that were coming before this board under my administration that we had nothing to do with, such as ECWA trying to take over a multi-million-dollar operation that we have now stopped, that was going to cost the taxpayers a tremendous amount of money. Nor did I hear that we were going to have to take over a jail, nor did I hear that ECAT was going to be an issue. But these decisions are going to require somebody sitting in this seat with some insight from the past to make decisions for the future, because I've got to be the one at this point in time to make recommendations to 5 board members. How you vote is strictly up to you. I can only recommend based on my knowledge of the past, based on this community, and based on the facts to you. How you vote, I have never questioned a vote, nor will I ever question a vote. But the bottom line is, I have a right to apply for this job. I have applied for this job, and thank goodness I did make the final, whatever it was the other day. I hope based on my qualifications, because I have not talked to anyone about this job that's on that committee. I have not called anybody on that committee, nor will I. If I am so lucky to be getting that final 5, I will interview sitting right out here like everybody else. If I am chosen for that position, I will serve. And I will serve to the best of my ability. My health is getting good again. I'm on the way back, thank God. The good Lord has been good to me, and I'm cancer-free at this point in time. But I will say this. I'm going to defend my record. I'm going to defend my education. I'm going to defend the fact that I am from Escambia County. I am a 20-year county administrator. I've got 4 years as elected city councilman. I was chief of staff in an administrative position to the state highway commissioner for the state of Mississippi. So I've got some pretty good credentials that I've worked very hard in my life to get. And to sit here and say that George said I wasn't going to apply for a job, I'm just as qualified as anybody on that list, in my opinion. If you so choose not to choose me, I will live with that, and I will go back to what I was doing 5 years ago. But the bottom line is, if I am so chosen, I will serve this county to the best of my ability. I have always done that, and I'm very proud to say I've never made a decision up here except for some things that I should have been more open with, that there was no law for me to be open with, that I have certainly understood the transparency of those situations and have corrected that. So, yes, I applied the 3rd time this job was advertised because I said, you're just as qualified and nobody loves this county more than you do. And I am willing to serve if chosen. If not, that is your decision also. And I thank you for that. But I've been wanting to say that for a long time because there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes comments about it. And quite frankly, I don't deserve that.
No, you're both. Mr. Robinson's next, then Mr. Robertson. My comment is simply this. Yeah, I was next, and then Mr. Robertson. I'm as heartfelt about this as you are. Ladies and gentlemen who may have forgotten, that man was my opponent in the last election. He was my, and we were at odds. Now it is humorous, but the fact is we buried a hatchet, not the gavel, the hatchet, and we broke the gavel. But we buried a hatchet because it was the spiritual, it was the Christian thing to do. More importantly, it was the moral and ethical thing to do for the greater good of the community. And I'm glad we did, George, because I have nothing to hide either. I'm proud to be your friend and close to you. I'm glad we were close. It's what must happen for good government to survive. Other nations and governments have failed because after such events they kill each other. Our democracy survives because we lock arms after the dispute and go forward for a greater good. And the day we forget that is the day we lose our democracy. And shame on us when we do. I don't have to agree with Grover Robinson, or Mr. Robertson, or Mr. Mayor, or Mr. Berry all the time. Well, I have to concede. I have to find the common ground, and that's what's critical. And every one of you in the audience must do the same. You must find the common ground and realize it ain't going your way 100% of the time. And if you agree to do that, we're likely to win. Mr. Robertson.
What I want to say is I've worked with about 6 or 7 different administrators since the 83, 84, whenever. George has probably been the most successful and the best I've ever worked with. I've only had the privilege to work with him for nearly a year as an interim, but I followed his record for 6.5 years. Most administrators never stay that long. George probably would have been here forever had that incident not occurred that he resigned over. But at any rate, I have never worked with one in all those years that I thought done a better job, that was more effective, and that could get more things done. And I can tell you right now, I read the list this morning, there's about 20 issues going on in this county, and taking over the jail is just one of them. The library funding, the mass transit, I could go on and on and on. This is a time that we really need to pick the right administrator. But George has been the best I've ever worked with.
Gene, I need to say one more quick thing.
Mr. Robinson, will you concede for Mr. Touart and Mr. Robinson?
I got to get this off. Commissioner Valentino and I keep being linked in the news media as somehow trying to manipulate things. Commissioner Valentino is the chairman of this board. In November, Commissioner Bay will be the chairman of this board. It is my responsibility to respect that position, and I've always, no matter who the chairman was, I've always had to work closer with the chairman than I have the other board members because his responsibilities are further enhanced by that. And Commissioner May will have a lot of responsibility as chairman of the board. I've often told people, don't take the chairmanship because you don't get paid a dime more and you got 10 times the responsibility. I respect Commissioner Valentino as a friend, but I also respect him as chairman of this board, and I will continue until November to work with him, and I do not apologize for that. That is my job.
Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Chairman, at no time, if you remember, I brought this forward because of the issue this morning, which I was not able to be here, which I was told in some way that I was cowardly by not bringing forward here. So that's why this whole thing came forward to talk to you today about it. The issue which I said was it was brought forward as the 11th hour, add on all the other issues. My only point in saying this was to simply say that the administrator was brought forward as an add-on, in which you indicated that you had been talking with him and you already had a salary in mind, and we can pull the tape from that meeting. The point is, I'm not opposed to what happens. Things vote, we vote, and I move on. I'm perfectly happy. I've never said I may disagree with you, but I would respect each of your rights to bring forward an idea. The issue that I have is it seems sometimes that I bring forward ideas and that I get criticized for bringing forward ideas at this level. That was all I wanted to comment about this today. I didn't want to get into Mr. Touart or any other issue in here. My simple point is to say that there were other times when other things have been added on at the very last minute, and I've dealt with them. If they didn't go the way I voted, I've moved forward, and I've been able to happen. I've told you very quickly that if this has gone down 4-1, I could have been forward and moved forward and gone on from there. My issue was what happened this morning, and at least what was relayed back to me as I was coming home from Panama City. So again, I did not mean to create the issues that happened this morning. I hated being in Panama City, but I thought it would be better for me to bring it forward to you then than to try to bring it forward to all of a sudden tonight and for you the first time to see that. So that's all I was saying.
Just for the record, I didn't, Mr. Robinson, before I recognize Mr. May, I received a call from Scott Luth at the Chamber of Commerce, and I didn't know he was with you. You had just mentioned that. I couldn't take his call earlier today because I was in a meeting, but I had the impression there was something going on in Panama City on economic development. I think you just said that a minute ago. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, what's your area of interest? Are you going to... I thought I was going to be representing the issues of economic development, and you were going to be focusing on BP.
I was asked to go there as a regional effort and for us to evaluate what were ways for our region to work together.
By whom were you asked?
I was asked by the people at Bay County who put it on, their person with their economic development.
What you were asked by the local Chamber of Commerce, were you not?
No.
But no. County invited?
No.
Was this we've got my question. I want to understand the question.
Well, it was related to regional economic development is what it was related to, and I was invited by that because I've been involved with it. Gene, we are all involved in economic development. To say we strictly have one issue or the other. I was asked to come there by the person from Bay County. Again,
Commissioner, we're not all involved in BP. You have been the lead and recognized as the lead in BP. Most of us don't know half of what you know on oil-related matters because we don't all micromanage each other's areas of expertise. And what I take offense with, that's even more recent, is the fact that you're now handling economic development. One of us runs a $110 million company. One of us pays $2,700,000 a year in payroll to this community. I know my economic development pretty well, and I take great pride in being the leader on this county commission in areas of economic development, which have historically failed in this community. And I wanted to be involved in every aspect of that. You should have been here this morning, sir, and I should have been in Panama City.
No, I don't think so, because the issue being discussed was regionalism, and I've been working with the other counties to try to work together in that process, and I was the one they invited and asked to be there, so I made it a point to be there.
Well, then on your main point, then would you stand down and correct them from time to time?
I won't stand down and correct anybody, because when it talks about regionalism, I've been the one working with the other counties to the east of us, trying to pull something together.
Oh, I see. No one else has here, huh? It's your show or no show, right?
Gene, if you want to keep this process going, you can.
Yeah, let's keep